Okay, we are recording.
All right, welcome to the second day of the St. Louis County Library History and Genealogy Virtual Expo. It is Saturday, December 5th, and the time is 10 a.m. My name is Scott Hall, manager of the History and Genealogy Department here at St. Louis County Library. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Ellen Mays will be the Expo Master of Ceremonies. Ellen is a public historian and a reference librarian for the History and Genealogy Department. All sessions of the Expo will be recorded. The recordings will be available on the St. Louis County Library website and on the library's YouTube channel. The Expo sessions recorded on November 5th are already available on the library's website, and a link to that page has been posted in the chat. The web page also has a schedule for today in case you need to look at that. A reminder that your Zoom login information is valid for both the morning and afternoon sessions today. This morning, we will feature presentations by representatives from 4 organizations. But before we introduce the first speaker, I would like to encourage you to check out the History and Genealogy Department on the St. Louis County Library website. I'm going to spend just a few moments highlighting some information that you will find there. So as most of you know, St. Louis County Library buildings are closed to the public. You still are able to check out materials and pick them up through curbside. But I did want to just spend a few moments just to talk a little bit about what we're doing here in the History and Genealogy Department in our efforts to continue to help researchers as best we can. So if you go to our History and Genealogy page, which is www.slcl.org/genealogy, you will get a page that looks like this. So I'm going to highlight this line here, and I'm going to blow it up a little bit. So there is a link here to available services. So this will take you to a page that lists everything we can do for you under the current circumstances. So I encourage you to go there and take a look at that information. Also, I want to point out a couple other things. If you go back to that our main page there and you kind of zoom out, or if you're able to view the whole page, you'll see over here on the left a blue box that has a list of links. So I'm going to take a look at a couple of those. Here's that link menu up a little closer. So one page is we have put together short video tutorials. These are 10, 15-minute tutorials about specific things about that you might be interested in knowing or learning about for genealogical research. The page will look like this. We have a short video on how to get started in genealogical research. There's an introduction to Ancestry Library editions. There are some other things there that you might find helpful. Also, we have put together a virtual classroom. We do teach genealogy classes, and we have been recording all of our classes and posting the videos on this web page. So if you're interested in taking some classes, or you have been interested in the past in taking classes and haven't been able to because of your schedule, we are recording them and putting them up on this page. So I hope that you will take a look at that. Also, if we go back out to our main page here, I want to take a look at this box here. Passports is a newsletter that we publish every month. We publish it electronically as a PDF document. If you click the Read More link, it takes you to our Passports page. All of our current and past issues are posted there. You can choose the year that you want to look at. The newsletter has been published since 2008. And then the individual issues will be linked below. So for instance, here's the link to the July 2020 issue. And if you click that, it will open up a PDF. You can download it, print it out, whatever you want to do. In our newsletter, we focus on sources in our department that you can research, or subjects that you can research in our department. And it will highlight a subject or a source and give you some information about that and some tips for doing research. So that's absolutely free. You don't need a library card or anything. To access that, it's just free on our website. So at the bottom of the passports page, you will see this get email updates form. So if you enter your email address in there, you can actually subscribe to our newsletter. So you will, if you do that, you will receive an email every month when a new issue is available with a link to that issue. And as I said, all the issues are posted on our website. And there is our contact information. So please feel free to email us or telephone us if you need information or you need help with your research. We would be glad to help. So at this point, I think I'm going to turn it over to Ellen.
Okay, thank you very much, Scott. Our first speakers today are actually going to be showcasing the St. Louis Genealogical Society. They're Karen Good and Eileen Murray. Welcome.
Hi, Ellen. Thank you for having us today. We're waiting for Eileen. She'll be here in just 1 second.
My video is being held by the host, so Ellen has to open that up.
Okay, Ellen.
All right, thank you. I put on makeup for this, so I want you all to be able to see me.
Yeah, I know. Nobody buys makeup anymore.
All right, there we go.
Okay.
That's it. I've done my Christmas. You got your tree. Nice.
Yes. Okay. So good morning, everyone. Eileen and we're going to be telling you about the St. Louis Genealogical Society. My name is Karen Good. I'm currently the Vice President of Programs of St. Louis Genealogical Society, and I'm here with Eileen Murray, who is the Publications Director. And I guess we got our first slide up there, Find Your Ancestors in St. Louis. Have you?
No, not yet, because Ellen has to let me share my screen.
Okay, so we'll wait for that.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
All right, are we good?
Okay, okay.
Love this technology.
So, have you ever thought about researching your family's history? Have you had your DNA tested and now you want to know more about it? Have you been doing your genealogy and you hit a brick wall? Well, we can help you with that. We are the largest local genealogical society in the U.S. We have about 1,800 members throughout the U.S. and several foreign countries. We are a not-for-profit, all volunteer organization, which was started in 1968. Our mission is to promote family history research by providing educational and research opportunities, offering community services in related fields, and collecting, preserving, and publishing genealogical records. Our office is in Maplewood, off of Big Bend Boulevard, just a few blocks south of Manchester. Under normal circumstances, we are open from 9 to noon on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And we hope that happens again coming up in the next couple months. At the office, our volunteers process records so they can be published on our website, shared with those doing family research. And current projects right now include congregations, cemeteries, funeral homes in the St. Louis and surrounding areas. At the office, we have a reference room in which you can browse all of our collections of books and other reference materials. We have many hidden little fine gems throughout the whole office, and our reference people in the reference room can help you find other things for you on your family trees. Our main collection, however, is over 30,000 volumes, which is held at the St. Louis County Library headquarters in the 5th tier there, the History and Genealogy Department. Eileen?
Yes, I'm on. Okay, so how can we help you? We have a variety of ways that we can help you to continue to research your family. So this slide is going to show you our first virtual monthly meeting, which is scheduled for Saturday morning, the 9th of January at 10 o'clock. And we're calling it Ask Louie, which I'll talk to you a little bit about a few slides from now, because this is a program that we have to help people with genealogical questions. So what we'll have in January, and this will be fun because it will be virtual, will be 10 genealogists who will be a panel, and we will field your genealogy questions. Typically, we have meetings on the second Saturday of each month. Our meetings cover a wide variety of subjects of interest to genealogists and historians. Traditionally, we have an Ask Louie meeting in January because we've always worried about St. Louis weather in the winter. This year, it's not going to matter because we'll all be cozy and warm in our houses. So we hope that you will join us for this meeting. It's not necessary, but we do encourage you to send your questions. And you can see the address that's on your screen, programs@stlgs.org. And if you can get questions in by the 1st of January, that gives our panelists a chance to do a little bit of research ahead of time to be able to direct you. The schedules for all of our meetings and classes are always on our website, which is www.stlgs.org, and I will talk to you about that in a little bit. At this time, all of our meetings we are planning for the first part of the year will be virtual. When we are able to meet again, our meetings will be held in the auditorium of headquarters at St. Louis County Library. Fingers crossed that'll be later this year. We have several special interest groups as part of St. Louis Genealogical Society. As you can see, we have German, Irish, and Jewish groups. They meet 4 times a year. Meetings, our monthly meetings and our SIG meetings are all free. You do not have to be a member of the society to attend either a monthly meeting or a special interest group meeting. Just like our monthly meetings right now, all of our SIG meetings are virtual as well. One of the things we've discovered by accident as we've jumped into this Zoom world is that we can record these meetings and put them up on our websites, which is something we have really wanted to do for a long time. And so at this time, we have special interest group meetings, monthly meetings, and classes on our website. I'll show you those in a little bit so that you can go back and see some of the things that you might have missed. As you can see, the first German SIG meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, the 20th of January at 7:00 p.m. It's called Building a Family to Find a German Village in the U.S. and in U.S. Records. And Carol Witten, our speaker, is also one of the co-leaders of the German SIG. The first Irish SIG webinar will be Tuesday, the 26th of January at 7 p.m. Irish Catholic Parish Registers, and that will be given by Robin McDonough. And the first Jewish SIG meeting for 2021 will be Sunday, the 21st of February at 1 o'clock. And that will just also be an open panel discussion on Jewish genealogy Q&A. I'll add that we have one more Jewish SIG meeting coming up in December. And you can still register for that, but just go to the website. And if you are interested in that, Dennis Northcott from the Missouri Historical Society's Library and Research Center is going to be talking about finding your ancestors and their records. So that's up on our website. And if you're interested, get your request in by Wednesday of this coming week so we can get you an invitation.
And Dennis's presentation will not be recorded. So
yeah, good point. Yep. Okay, so let me move on. Okay, I said I was going to tell you about Ask Louie. St. Louis Genealogical Society has a special program called Ask Louie. We have volunteers who will help you to answer questions, basic questions, or even more complicated questions on where to locate genealogical records for St. Louis City and St. Louis County. We, as Karen mentioned before, are an all-volunteer, not-for-profit organization. These are volunteers who are going to help you. They are experienced, they are knowledgeable, but they're also volunteers. So sometimes there's a little bit of a backlog. The one thing that's really important to let you know is that we do not do research for you, because you don't want to miss out on the fun and excitement of doing your own research. But we will give you directions, we will answer your questions, and we encourage you to send emails to asklouie@stlgs.org. And I'll show you, this is up on our website too. And I'll show you how you get to it in a minute. Just like the library, we have year-round classes at STLGS. When it's safe, we have them at our office. This last year, we have started doing our classes virtually, and that's worked out really nicely for us. When we have classes at the office, they're open to members and non-members, although we do charge non-members. When we are doing the classes virtually, we can offer them only to our members. So that's a perk of membership. At this time, we have a variety of genealogy classes and local history classes. Just to name some, we've had classes on German research, Irish research, genealogy software, all kinds of other technology for genealogy. We have a Foundations of Genealogy kind of a basic and refresher class, and that's online right now too. So we encourage you to check out what is online, and we encourage you to start registering for the new classes, because the classes for the first part of the year are now up on our website. And we have an intermediate legacy, which is a genealogy software for the PC. And I'm going to do 2 classes, one on immigration and one on naturalization. And both of those are coming up during the first couple months of 2021. So check those out. Another program we want to tell you about is First Families. And this is a program where you can honor your St. Louis ancestors. We have 3 categories: the founding families, 1765 to 1804, pioneer families, 1805 to 1821, and immigrant families from 1822 to 1865. So if your family was here in St. Louis during any part of that time period, you can honor them with this lovely certificate. We have little lineage pins which feature the logo, the First Family's logo, and all the information on how to join, including a nice little PowerPoint that walks you through the steps that you need to take to join First Families. Those are all up on our website. Another program that Karen and I are especially excited about, because we do this, is our St. Louis City County Biographies project. We started this a couple of years ago, and we have really been focusing now on helping to celebrate Missouri's 200th birthday, which we will be celebrating in 2021. And we are honoring St. Louis men and women who played a part in Missouri history through this special project. But when we say playing a part in Missouri history, it doesn't mean that you have to be Daniel Boone or Susan Blow or any of the really famous people that we know were part of Missouri. Every single one of us who had ancestors, I shouldn't say us because I really don't have St. Louis relatives.
I do.
But you do, right. Any single one of you who have St. Louis relatives, this is a fabulously lovely way to preserve their memories, because they were part of the history of St. Louis, no matter what they did.
But it doesn't have to be a relative either. It could be a neighbor or somebody you know, or it's just somebody you were interested in and you researched on.
Exactly, and that's how I've contributed to this project, because as I said, I don't have St. Louis relatives, but I know of a number of really interesting people that have lived in St. Louis. And so I've written several biographies now on people that have no relationship to me, but they did contribute to St. Louis. So basically what we're asking for is 500 words or less. So this is short. This is not like the whole story of your person's life. And we think it's a very doable length. It's just enough to be comprehensive and not so long that it puts you off. We're doing biographies, including photos. No tombstones, please. but interesting documents, like if you have somebody's signature or a unique document for that person, we can do those. We need permission for any photos that we put up. They have to be yours, or you have to have permission to use them. So we need to say that. All of the information about how to contribute to St. Louis County, City County bios is up on our website. And Karen and I have done, I think we're at 211 that are online right now.
Yes, but we got probably about a good
Another
30
2 dozen
more to go. Yeah.
Oh, there's more than that. I think we're
Yeah.
up to 226, and we just put
Yeah.
the 211th online. So I think I'm sitting on another dozen or so, somewhere in there. But anyway, we're well over 200, and we're moving right along. So we hope that you will join us in celebrating somebody that you know for Missouri's 200th birthday and making them part of this project, because this is a way to preserve their memories. We also have an online store, and in this time when you really can't get out to buy things, we can offer you genealogical CDs, books, materials in our store. And I want to point out our 3 newest products. We have a billion questions all the time about orphanages in St. Louis and orphanage care in St. Louis. And Vicki Fagel, one of our longtime volunteers, has written what we have been told is the definitive book on orphanages in St. Louis. And you can buy this in our store as a book or as a PDF download, which is new and we're kind of excited about. The other thing that you might be interested in, if you had ancestors going back into the early days of Missouri history, and especially since we're celebrating our 200th anniversary next year, is this 2-part set of the War of 1812 in Missouri, Tales of the Redhead, Black Hawk, and Missouri Rangers, which basically is based on the work of Bob Parkin, who was one of our longtime volunteers, but was edited by Ann Fleming, Ruth Ann Hager, and me. We spent a year of our life putting this together. Ruth Ann has contributed some amazing, beautiful maps, and we were assisted by Christina Miller of the Missouri State Archives. We've got this all indexed. We have bios of people that lived in Missouri at that time. It's a delightful set if you have ancestors going back that far. We'd love to offer these to you as PDFs, but they're huge files. So right now you can only buy them as books, and we hope that you do. So check out our store. It's absolutely secure. It's a very safe way of buying things online. You can pay by credit card. We will ship the stuff to you, and you can have them in time for Christmas or Hanukkah. Well, a little late for Hanukkah, but Christmas. So store.stlgs.org. Check them out. Okay, we have volunteers. As Karen mentioned, we are an all volunteer organization. We have no paid staff, and we marvel all the time about how much we accomplish, how dedicated our volunteers are. Nobody gets paid. If we don't show up, we dock our paycheck, and we take 0 out of 0. We get a Christmas bonus each year of 0. Yes, 0. We work for coffee and donuts, and now we don't even have the donuts because we're shut down. But we work on lots and lots and lots of projects. As Karen mentioned before, we're constantly working on congregations. We have an enormous amount of cemetery data online, and we're constantly updating that as we get new information. We have volunteers working on funeral homes. We have a number of smaller projects. One of the projects that we have some volunteers working on right now, and we're kind of excited about this too, is helping to find the graves of their deceased members in Washington Park Cemetery. Washington Park was an African-American cemetery very close to the airport, and it's been disrupted a number of times by construction, particularly when the airport expanded. And even though we do have records from Washington Park, they have been handed from one person to another to another to another, and they they haven't been held in a cohesive manner. So we have Washington Park volunteers right now who are working with our volunteers to try and to locate where the graves are and to get that cemetery finally straightened out after many, many years of disruption. And we have lots of little projects going on all the time. So if you are looking for something to do to volunteer, we'd love to have you. Karen, go ahead.
But you know, the Washington Park thing is just a sample of one of the resources. We're the only ones in St. Louis with this resource, you know, and that's why they're working with us and we're working with them right now. We've had many people come to the office just to ask about burials in Washington Park Cemetery. And because
and
we have the maps and yes, endless
phone calls. Yeah, even in this COVID time, like the phone doesn't ring, and when it does ring, it's somebody wanting a Washington Park burial. So yeah. Okay, all right. My favorite part, our website. And we laugh about that because our website right now consists of about 1,500 pages. And over the last 4 or 5 years, my blood, sweat, and tears have gone into about half of those. So we're very excited about, and Karen's husband, Bob, also, we have mutual blood, sweat, and tears on this. We have an extremely comprehensive website. Right now, as I mentioned, we're almost up to 1,500 pages filled with information about how to do your research in St. Louis, filled with original documents, databases, bursting with names and genealogical information, and so much more. If you're a member, we have a members only area, and that's the gateway that you can use to getting your membership perks in the members only area that you are entitled to. So I'm going to just kind of walk you through the homepage of our website very, very quickly, because I don't have a watch or a clock right now, so I hope that we're not eating up too much time. So right now our website kind of sort of looks like this. These buttons are ever changing depending on what's going on. Messages up at the top are ever changing depending on what's going on. You can see that this one probably I grabbed during the summertime. So what you see when you look at it right now is going to look a little bit different. So let me just kind of quickly walk you through. Up at the top of all of the homepage and of all of the pages is a menu bar. Each one of these holds a drop-down menu. You can actually click on each one and there's a page that explains it, but if you just hover your mouse pointer over each one, a drop-down menu will come down. And this is where the heart and soul of all of the actual data is located. So when you hover over About Us, that drop-down menu will come down and tell you about our history, show you our publications. That takes you to our SIG pages, our monthly meeting pages, etc. So that's one way that you can get information. We have a major presence on social media. We are constantly monitoring our Facebook and Twitter accounts. I'm going to talk to you about those in a minute. We have a very active blog. And if you're not a member and want to be one, we hope you'll just click that blue button and become one. So these are all active links that'll take you to those sections or those actual websites. Whoops, sorry about that. Okay, this is the heart of the homepage. And as I said, messages will be right there. Links will be right there. Buttons will always take you to what's new. So when I grabbed this, we still had our family history conference up. That's down now because that's expired. But if you clicked on that, it would take you to the family history conference page. This is a page that we've pulled down also, the scheduling updates. We kept that going all year, but now that we have a routine, we don't need it anymore. And same thing with our speaker series. When we're ready to start announcing the spring and fall speaker series, they'll have a button right there. City County Biographies, there's the button that'll take you directly to it. Our next monthly meeting, that button will take you directly to it. New on this site, that's a page that we keep up with. Every time we add something to the site, we add it there. So if you want to see what's new, if you haven't been there for a while, click on that one, it'll take you right there. As I said, our new books, these will take you to that. And we sell fan charts, by the way, and they make wonderful holiday presents. So if you're looking for the genealogist on your list, what can I get, or a family member that's excited about your family history, click on that button. It's not too late. We could even get that to you for Hanukkah, actually.
Right. And all you got to do is email us about questions on it. And even though the office is closed to visitors, we can handle it.
Yep, definitely. Okay, so next part. If you are ready to start searching for your ancestors, use the top links right here. Surname, given name, hit the search button. If you're looking for something more general, like what do you have on Bibles? Or how do I get to the back issues of the quarterly? Do this search down here. And we have a fabulous search engine on our site, and it will help you to find exactly what you are looking for. We have the section with the gold buttons, which we call Helping Each Others. If you are an STLGS member, click on this one. It takes you to your member benefits page. We have PDFs that are available for members. We have back issues of quarterlies that are available for members. We have all kinds of other perks that you get from your membership. So click there and it will show you what's available. Ready to volunteer? Click there. It'll take you right to the volunteer page. Ready to ask Louie a question or to find out more about it? Click here, takes you there. And here are the links to the 3 SIGs, German, Irish, Jewish. You can click right there and it'll take you to those pages. First families, this will give you more information. This will lead to the PowerPoint. This will also get you to find out how you can apply. And sort of buried down on the bottom, another gift hint. You can get a gift certificate for your genealogy friends or family. Again, not too late for the holidays. Somebody will be in the office on Tuesday, so if you're looking for that perfect Hanukkah gift, we can help you there too. But we do gift certificates for memberships, for classes, for events. We custom make them, so whatever you're looking for, we'll help you with that. We keep a calendar of events section down here. When we have paper flyers of our events, the links are here this year because we're all confused and online. There is no paper flyer, but we do have a calendar of events page, and that's where you'll find all of the monthly meetings, all of the SIG meetings, all of the special events all in one spot. And this will change to be 2021 events and classes. You can click right here. It'll take you straight to the new classes. Everything right at your fingertips. Now, I should mention that when you log on, especially if you're on a small screen, you're not going to see all of this. What you're going to see is the top part and a scroll bar. So be sure you use that scroll bar to go down to the bottom of the screen, or you will miss all of this. And then I want to end by showing you that we have some help guides, quick help guides to using the website. There's one on the website itself, and there's one on the store. So if you're confused, if you haven't been to the website, if you can't remember what I've said and don't really feel comfortable just clicking on stuff, download. These are PDFs. Download these to your computer. You can read them, you can print them out, and you can have them as you work through the website. So don't be afraid to click on those and to get that information. A word about joining. We have several levels of membership. You can join as an individual. You can join as a family. If you're joining as an individual, it's $40. If you're joining as a family, which is basically 2 people in the same household, we don't care if you're related or not, if you're living in the same household, that's $45. And when you join, you can attend our classes free. You receive discounts for our special events and research opportunities. You receive our quarterly journal, and the new one will be out in just a couple weeks. And you have access to the members only area of our website. So we welcome you as a member. Go, Karen, I see you're...
Well, one thing I was going to say that blends in with all this is that you do have to sign on as a member in order to see some of those things that are behind the wall, we call.
Yes, good point. Thank you. See, I'm logged in right there. It says welcome. Yeah, so yes, thank you for reminding me about that. Okay. So, let me just kind of end my part by talking about social media, because Laura Mackinson, our social media director, and I manage 2 pages on Facebook. And I tell people this all the time: you don't have to be a Facebook groupie. You don't have to deal with the politics. You don't have to deal with all of the goofy jokes and the endless time wasting on Facebook. Facebook is a really good place to do genealogy. There are lots and lots and lots of active groups, and we have climbed on board. We have 2 presences on Facebook. We have a Facebook group of more than 3,000 members. It has grown by leaps and bounds during this past year. And there are so many people within that group that are eager to answer questions, to help you, to share in your successes. These are people that get it. If you stay up until 3 o'clock in the morning on Find a Grave, they understand why you haven't gone to bed. All right, and they will help you to answer your questions and to pat you on the back when you have successes. So there's this big old long URL, but if you just go to Facebook and search STLGS, you'll find our group. We also have, whoops, sorry about that. We also have a news and events page, and you can find us at facebook.com/STLGS news and events, all one word, no caps. And this is where we post upcoming classes, meetings, SIG meetings, special events, etc. And those are always posted on that page. Usually we put them there first and then we share them to the group. But what we like about the page is that things don't just kind of fall down to the bottom the way they do on the page. That's why we have both. Twitter, Laura Mackinson is our Twitter maven. And we have an active Twitter account. She has a following of more than 1,500 to 1,800 people right now. She posts all kinds of news and important reminders on Twitter, and shares reposts from other organizations that might be of interest to St. Louis Genealogical or St. Louis genealogists. And you can find us at twitter.com/STLGS. And then another hat that I wear is putting out this weekly blog, which we call STLGS News Flash. And a number of years ago, we stopped publishing our monthly newsletter because it was costing us a small fortune. It was eating up hours and hours and hours and hours of time. And we discovered we could do the same thing online and reach many of you that way, and be a lot more current. Because instead of having to wait a month to tell you stuff, we could tell you every week. We could tell you new things. And in our Facebook and Twitter accounts, we can tell you stuff every day. So this is absolutely free. You do not have to be a member of St. Louis Genealogical to take part in receiving the blog. You can go to stlgs.blogspot.com and sign yourself up, or you can click that little orange bee on our homepage. You can read all the archived postings that we've had from the last couple of years. You can read the things that are current for this year, and you can sign up to receive this in your email once a week. No spam, I promise you, nobody will bother you, and it's perfectly safe. And that way you can always get the latest news, and you can access that at your leisure. And once a week, it'll come to you.
And easy links to all this is in the top right corner of our homepage. We have a Facebook blog and a Twitter icons where you can click on and take you right to these places to join.
Okay, take us home.
So as a little summary of this, we are very, very proud of being an all-volunteer organization and of the services that we offer to our members and the community we live in. And we're just very interested in helping anyone build their family tree. We invite you to join our organization, and once we can return to normal hours, come in and visit us and see if there's a volunteer project that you would like to work on, or just browse through the many resources that we have there at the Society. If you are interested in volunteering with us, there are many projects to choose from. And if you don't like one, there's going to be another one that you can work with. To oversimplify, most of our main needs for volunteering include scanning, indexing, and proofing. You can have a choice of working and doing these things from home or working among people who have the same interests you do, genealogy. There are many advantages to volunteering at the office. You make new friends. You're able to talk to people about genealogy without having them roll their eyes. You can volunteer with people who have a wealth of genealogical knowledge and can help you break down your own brick walls on your own research that you've been doing. We encourage you to go to our website, check it out, start clicking on buttons, click on topics, see the drop-down categories, and find out what the St. Louis Genealogical Society can offer you. And from Eileen and myself, thank you, and we hope to be able to see you and talk to you. And if you have any questions, you just email the office, our programs, our publications, and we'll be able to answer your questions for you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Scott?
Karen and Eileen.
Okay.
That was great. It was really informative, and you answered a lot of the questions that people had. If there's any other questions, please let us know, either with the Q&A or the chat. And you can also always follow up with Karen and Eileen as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, so next we have Scott Hall, who's going to talk a little bit more about the History and Genealogy Department.
Let me get my screen sharing here. Okay, so one of our panelists has not shown up yet. So if he does show up, then we'll go ahead and fit him in. But in the meantime, I'm going to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about the History and Genealogy Department, in case you're not familiar with us, who we are, what we do, and what we have to offer in terms of research materials. So first I'm going to talk about who we are, where we are, and how we got here. And we have a strong tie to the St. Louis Genealogical Society, so it's kind of a nice segue to come into this because I'm going to be talking to them a little bit too. So of course, St. Louis County Library is a public tax-supported library. However, anyone can use the collection. You don't have to be a St. Louis County resident. You don't have to have a library card. You can just come in anytime. You don't have to make an appointment. Under normal circumstances, when we're open to the public, you don't have to make an appointment. You can just come in. We're located on the top floor of the headquarters building and browse materials, and we have staff here who can help you. So our location is that we are just south of I-64/40 on Lindbergh Boulevard, just about 12 miles, I think, west of St. Louis City. So we are near I-270, and like I said, just off of I-64/40. So we're very accessible, and we have kind of a nice central location. Yes, so under normal circumstances, of course, as I mentioned before, all our buildings are closed to the public right now because of the pandemic. But we are on the top floor of the headquarters building, and no appointment is necessary to use the collection. I will just mention that the branches are offering curbside service for checkout. So if you do have a library card and you want to check out materials, you can reserve those online or just call the library and we'll help you through that. And you can arrange to pick those up at your local branch outside. The History and Genealogy staff is available for phone and email assistance. And please check our library website for updates as things tend to change with the pandemic situation. Okay, so one thing I do want to point out is that we are St. Louis County Library. There is also St. Louis City Public Library. We are not related. We do cooperate with each other, but we are entirely different systems. The county system is different from the public, the city system. This all kind of goes back to 1876 when the city became independent from the county. St. Louis County Library first branch opened in 1946 to serve the expanding post-war suburbs. So now St. Louis County Library, we are a large suburban library system with 17 branches. However, we do not include some of the libraries in what I call the old railroad suburbs like Kirkwood, Webster Groves, Maplewood. They have their own libraries that are not part of our system, but we do have 17 branches spread out from the far north to the far south areas of our county. So how did we get here as the History and Genealogy Department? Well, here's where the St. Louis Genealogical Society comes in. They needed a home for their library collection. They had their own research library. So in 1996, they approached St. Louis County Library and said, hey, how would you like 20,000 genealogy books? And the county library said, yes, that would be great. And so we created our own department to house those materials. And we opened at what originally we were known as the Special Collections Department. We opened in 1998. Later, we changed our name to the History and Genealogy Department. And then very soon after that, we started growing the collection significantly. In 2000, Julius K. Hunter, who, you know, if you're a St. Louis native, you will know that name. He was the first African-American TV broadcaster in St. Louis. He got some people together and raised a significant amount of money to create an African-American research collection. So we added materials for that collection in 2000. Then the National Genealogical Society, which is about 100, well, it's more than 100-year-old organization now, but at the time it was about 100 years old, also had their own research library. It was also a lending library to their members. And they too were looking for a home for their materials. They could not really care for it like they wanted to, so they were looking for a library to house it. And we were lucky enough to be chosen to receive those materials. So that added another about 25,000 items to our collection in 2001. And then over the years, we've added other collections. We've had in-kind gifts. We've had monetary gifts where we've been able to buy a significant amount of material. And there's also been significant investment by the library itself. So now, you know, our focus is on published materials and microfilm collections. Right now we have more than 110,000 books and periodicals on more than 1,300 linear feet of shelving on 3 floors. So we have materials on our top floor, the floor below us, and then and those floors are open to the public. We have some materials in a closed area, but those materials can be requested and we would be glad to bring those up for you. We also have microfilm collections. We have many local St. Louis records like marriage records, death records, cemetery records, church records, so on microfilm. St. Louis newspapers as well, historic newspapers. We have a map and atlas collection, and of course we have electronic databases for genealogical research. So what do we collect? So we collect genealogical records published as transcriptions, abstracts, and indexes. So, you know, many local historical and genealogical societies like the St. Louis Genealogical Society will like index local records, you know, or abstract them or transcribe records and then publish them in books. And we buy those books and we put them in our collection. So that allows you to come in and do research for, you know, outside of our local area. You can do research in many other states in the United States. We also collect quarterlies or periodicals from US and European genealogical and historical societies. We collect local and regional history, military history, and social history. We collect information about immigration and migration. in the US and into St. Louis and Missouri. And then we also collect digital sources that provide access to original records and primary sources, that is primarily databases. So we like to say that we're your first stop for St. Louis research. We have, as I mentioned, we have civil vital records, birth, marriage, and death records on microfilm. We have church records. We have all the available church records on microfilm for the Archdiocese of St. Louis. We also have records for many German Protestant, that is Lutheran and German Evangelical congregations for the St. Louis area. We have microfilm for cemetery records and funeral home records, some funeral home records, naturalization records for St. Louis, property and deed records for St. Louis and St. Louis County, wills and probate records, city directories in print for the 20th century, and then we have it on microfilm for the 19th and into the 20th century. And then, as I mentioned, we also have St. Louis newspapers. We have the major dailies like the Post-Dispatch going back to 1874, the Globe Democrat, if you remember that newspaper, going back to 1850, but also many other smaller newspapers, including some foreign language newspapers that were published in St. Louis. St. Louis, for example, had at one time 2 German language daily newspapers. We have those on microfilm. We also have online indexes and guides to records that have been digitized on family search. So our guide to St. Louis Catholic Archdiocese parish records, that's a guide we have online, and you can use that to actually research these records that have been digitized on family search. Also, we have a similar guide for the United Church of Christ records. We have a St. Louis Naturalization Index on our website that will give you the exact roll number that you can look for a record on family search if you want. Also, we have index of St. Louis City wills. So, you know, the staff and we have had volunteers to create these indexes over the years to help researchers find the information that they need. For print, we have local histories. We have histories of, of local communities of St. Louis and suburban communities within the county. We have histories of churches, different organizations, different businesses and industries. We have city directories, as I mentioned, and that include the reverse directories or crisscross directories in the 20th century. We have ward maps for St. Louis City. We have property ownership maps for the city and county. Just to name a few. So we also collect materials outside of St. Louis. We focus on, of course, St. Louis and then Missouri, and then states east of and along the Mississippi River with emphasis on migration trails into Missouri. We are expanding our coverage into upper Midwestern states, for instance, Michigan and Wisconsin, gradually. So as I mentioned, we collect materials that have been published by different local historical societies, state historical and genealogical societies, so on. We make those available in our collection. So you essentially can do research in almost any county in any of those states that are shown here in yellow. And then we're also expanding our, as well as Louisiana and Arkansas, some for Iowa. And then we're expanding our reach into the upper Midwest as well. We have, I mentioned the Julius K. Hunter and Franz African American Research Collection, and we've collected a number of important resources for that collection. One is some microfilm collections, including Race, Slavery, and Free Blacks. This is a microfilm set that has original source material with petitions related to freedom suits. Antebellum Southern plantation records, we have some of those on microfilm and some of those available through a database. Those are important if you're doing African American research and trying to track down the slave-owning family. We have the Wilbur H. Siebert manuscript collection, which deals with Underground Railroad. The Charles F. Hartman manuscript collection, which deals with the slave trade in New Orleans. And then Inward Slave Manifests and Outward Slave Manifests from the Port of New Orleans as well. We also have compiled service records of volunteer Union soldiers who served with U.S. colored troops. And then we have the descriptive recruitment list of volunteers for the United States Colored Troops for the state of Missouri. We also have microfilm records of the Bureau of Refugees, Freedmen, and Abandoned Lands and Southern Claims Commission records. We also have some indexes and guides to some of these microfilm sets. I'm not going to go through those, but those are on our website. We also have African American newspapers on microfilm for St. Louis titles, African American cemetery records. We have the Washington Cemetery records here as well as and some others. And then we also have print materials related to American slavery, the slave experience, and the civil rights movement, particularly as it applies to St. Louis. We also have French North American research materials. This is an important research area if you have around St. Louis area because of its French roots. So we have land records relating to French and Spanish land claims. That's an online guide. We have, I'm not going to try to pronounce that, but they're basically transcripts and abstractions of marriage and baptismal records for French Canadian churches. Genealogical dictionaries. We have transcribed church records pertaining to French settlements in America, and many other resources. We also try to collect materials for European homelands, including Britain. So for instance, we have the Victoria History of Counties of England, which is an important genealogical source. We have published transcripts of hearth tax records, wills, and inventories. We have church records for some counties in England. And then we do collect periodicals from British genealogical societies. We have, for Scotland, we have more than 800 memorial transcription books. Those are cemetery, like headstone transcriptions for cemeteries in Scotland. We have burial index and church records for some locations. And then we do collect quarterlies for the major genealogical societies in Scotland. Same for Ireland. We have materials for doing Irish research. We have the historic Irish town atlases, ordnance survey memoirs, county histories of Ireland, parish maps. We have Church of Ireland, that is the Anglican Church, diocesan histories and clerical succession lists. And then we also collect periodicals from Irish genealogical societies. We have a really great German research collection. Of course, German research is an important one for the St. Louis area. We have probably the largest collection of Ortsippenbücher in any library in the United States, at least any public library in the United States. These are really great sources because basically they are, someone has gone in and extracted all the genealogical data out of the local church records and published them in a book. And so if you can find one for your village, you can possibly take your family history back to the beginning of written history, because for common people, church records are the source of genealogical information, the oldest source of genealogical information. We do have a list of those online. We also collect Hof- and Häusergeschichte. These are farm and building succession histories. So they will like go from house to house and list every family that has owned or lived in that property going back to the beginning of written records. We have histories of some German villages and German towns. We have some aids for helping you identify, ancestral villages and parishes. And then of course we collect publications from genealogical societies in Germany. We have other sources, Deutsches Geschlechterbuch, which is a multi-volume set of compiled genealogies. We have a guide to that online. As I mentioned, we have aids for identifying ancestral villages and their parishes they belong to, and then the periodicals from German organizations. We also have materials for Swiss research. We have the only complete collection of church records on microfilm for parishes in Canton Bern, Switzerland. We have a guide to that online on our website. And then we also have many books related to history for Canton Bern. We also collect military history and genealogy. We have, of course, standard references for military research. We have publications from the DAR and other lineage societies. We have a growing collection of Civil War research materials, including published rosters, regimental and battle histories, letters, memoirs, and diaries. We have an online guide and bibliography to that collection to help you kind of navigate those materials. And that's online on our website as well. And then we are trying to increase our collection of materials for 20th century conflicts, World War I, World War II, Korea and Vietnam. And then we have published family histories. We have more than 14,000 family histories in the collection. More than 10,000 of these can be checked out or requested through interlibrary loan. About a third of our collection actually can be checked out, a third of our total collection. And then we also have manuscript collections on microfilm. Some of these I have mentioned before. We have the Kaskaskia manuscripts, which are French, have French records from French colonial period for the St. Louis area in Southern Illinois. The Wilbur H. Siebert manuscript collection dealing with Underground Railroad, the Charles F. Hartman manuscripts of slavery, Draper manuscript collection, which is an interesting collection if you for finding Revolutionary War and early settlers in the Midwest. And then we have some guides, a guide to that online. We have a similar collection called the John Damney Shane collection, and we have a guide to that online as well. And then finally, I will just mention that I did mention that we did receive the Library of the National Genealogical Society. Their library collection, they actually lent it out to their members. So when they gave that collection to our library, it was under the stipulation that those books continue to be available for checkout and through locally and through interlibrary loans, so that their members could continue to have access to it. So all the books in the National Genealogical Society actually can be checked out or requested through interlibrary loan if you're living outside of our area. We received that in 2001. There are more than 27,000 print items in that collection, including more than 10,000 family histories. Includes state, county, and local histories, cemetery and church and court, land records, marriage records, estate records, and abstracts, and so on. It's strong in the eastern states, Atlantic seaboard, New England. And as I mentioned, those materials can be checked out or requested through interlibrary loan. We do have a limit on how many books can be checked out at one time. So I'm going to end this here, and I'd be glad to answer any questions if you have them. You can put them in the chat or in the Q&A. I don't see any questions there. Do you see any, Ellen?
No, I don't see any questions yet, but if you have any questions later that you come up with, please let us know and put them in the chat or the Q&A, and we can answer those later too. Right. So up next, thank you, Scott, we have Lynn Link with the Wildwood Historical Society.
Am I on?
Yep.
Okay. Hi, my name's Lynn Link, and I'm the calendar writer for the Wildwood Historical Society. As a research volunteer, it's been my honor and privilege to research the amazing stories of the past and to archive them for the future. Founded in 1999, the Wildwood Historical Society is not affiliated with the City of Wildwood and is funded through memberships and private donations. The mission of our all-volunteer staff is to research and archive the rich history of the towns and people of St. Louis County's historic Western Merrimack Township. The Society owns a 5-acre property on Highway 100, about 5 miles west of 109. With a meeting hall where we host fundraising events and speakers. Additionally, we maintain a museum showcasing our local history, a library, and the historic Henkin home built in the 1850s. In 2018, I was asked to research and write the 2019 calendar. Researching and archiving history carries the obligation to find the truth and to archive every detail without filter or edit. I was fortunate to have the direction and vast knowledge of some of our members: Jill Von Gruben, our archivist and author of several books; Martha Bunch, our museum director; Karen Fox, a member and author, as well as access to our museum and library. Our library is an excellent source for anyone who might be doing an historic genealogical research of a family in our area. In addition to numerous books on world, U.S., Missouri state history, our library contains transcribed oral histories, donated diaries, scrapbooks, and photos of our past local residents. History books authored by our members on various topics such as local cemeteries, one-room schoolhouses, and early churches, and even poster-sized replicas of the 1878 and 1909 plat maps of Western Merrimack Township are also available for purchase. When research is done on a topic such as a museum exhibit, a book, a calendar, or on a local family or property, a file is created so the information researched can be cataloged for future reference. A calendar writer's job is researching and writing the words and finding the photographs that will appear in the calendar. It is then reviewed by other members, photos are inserted, and it is sent to the graphic designer who actually makes it look like a calendar. It is then proofread again and sent to the printer. The subject of the calendar is chosen based on the information we've researched on a certain subject, such as early churches, one-room schoolhouses, or the groves, or it's based on an anniversary of an historic event, such as World War I, World War II, or for 2020, the 200th anniversary of Missouri statehood. Only a fraction of the information obtained during the research process actually makes it into the calendar, but all the information is archived and often becomes a resource for future books. It's an understatement to say that 2020 has been a year of challenges for everyone worldwide. Initially, when researching the 2021 calendar, I had planned on going to St. Louis County Library headquarters and the Missouri Historical Society's library to do research looking at newspapers on microfilm, but these in-person sources were not available. Using books from our museum library, along with my own collection of history books, I was able to research a great deal of information. Through the online SHSMO digital newspaper project, I was also able to find 200 years old articles from the Missouri Gazette and Public Advertiser, which gave me a view of what Missouri was like even before statehood. Articles reporting events as they happened and editorials of those who lived through them give a unique insight of those events and how they formed opinions. I'll share with you some of the information that I found from multiple sources. Known initially as the Louisiana Gazette, the Missouri Gazette and Public Advertiser was founded in 1808 by Joseph Charles, who also served as editor. Printed in St. Louis and billed as Truth Without Fear, in publication until 1822, this newspaper reported local and worldwide events to the early citizens of St. Louis and throughout our area, initially referred to as Louisiana Territory. Advertisements, notices, obituaries, official proclamations, and petitions show what those living here over 200 years ago experienced. Many of these articles mentioned the first families to settle within the areas which would later become known as Wildwood. However, the story of Wildwood begins with the first men and women to set foot on this land we now call Missouri. In his book, Wilderness at Dawn, Ted Morgan eloquently describes the setting that would have propelled those early immigrants from Asia to make the arduous journey across the Bering Land Bridge, approximately 15,000 BCE, in search of a better life, like so many that would follow so many years later. Quote, during the most 1.5 million years, much of the earth has been in a deep freeze. This ice age period arrived with a rush of wind in the rumbling and crackling of ice mountains, moving like slow prehistoric beasts, rearranging and obliterating all living things. Catastrophic cycles determined by little wobbles of the earth as it rotates around the sun, changes the angle at which the sun rays strike. A little drop in temperature, dry winds lifting evaporated moisture off oceans that will later fall as snow, feeding and expanding existing glaciers. These glaciers locked up so much water that the global sea level fell 350 feet. Where the seafloor was shallow, the continental shelf was exposed. The Bering Sea was drained like a bathtub. The seafloor became plain. The book Indians and Archaeology of Missouri by Carl H. and Eleanor F. Chapman continues the story of the first Missourians during the Clovis period, beginning approximately 13,000 years ago. As early as 1838, Albert Koch found the remains of these first Missourians with their Clovis period fluted spear points, along with the skeletons of the mastodons and mylodons they hunted near present-day Mastodon State Park. In June, the author and archaeological researcher Mark Leach spoke to a CDC-mandated Reduce group at our Historical Society. In his book, Cahokia and Chesterfield, The Sun, the Moon, and the Milky Way, he sets out his archaeological research of Native Americans who had lived approximately 1,000 years ago in the areas around Chesterfield Valley. Like the Cahokian, they had built civic and ceremonial buildings and even a market center that was precisely planned in coordination with celestial alignments. Prior to the arrival of the first Europeans, 7 tribes, the Chickasaw, Illini, Iowa, Missouri, Otoquapah, and Osage, all called Missouri home. As early as the 1600s, Native Americans began fur trading with the French. In 1673, Father Jacques Marquette and Louis Jolette traveled down the Mississippi River along with being among the first Europeans to set foot in the land that would later become known as Missouri. In his own handwritten diary of these events, he describes, quote, "We descend following the current of the river called Pekatanui," meaning muddy water, which discharges into the Mississippi, flowing from the northwest. Diary of Père Jacques Marquette, 1673. In the late 1700s, after fighting the westernmost battles of the American Revolutionary War, many, such as Daniel Boone, along with his sons, would travel west with their families to settle in Missouri, then still known as Upper Louisiana. In 1762, France ceded the territory to Spain after the 7 Years' War. Looking for ways to colonize the territory, in 1795, Spain signed the Pykney Treaty with the United States, opening up navigation on the Mississippi. Additionally offering large Spanish grants brought the first white settlers to the Bonham Bottoms and Wild Horse Creek areas of present-day Chesterfield and Wildwood. Known initially as the village of St. Andre, James McKay, John Colgan, Joseph Conway, William Bell, John Long, Lawrence Long, Richard Koch, and Thomas Sappington would be among the first to settle in this area, along with their families and enslaved people. James McKay initially served as Commandant of St. Andre when under Spanish rule. Then in 1801 as Commandant of St. Charles District. In 1804, he was appointed to provide Lewis and Clark with information and maps for their expedition, later serving in the Missouri legislature before his death in 1822. As part of Napoleon's Third Treaty of San Ildefonso, in 1800, the territory was ceded back to France, who allowed the U.S. to purchase the land west of the Mississippi in 1803. An inventory published in the July 5, 1809 edition of the Missouri Gazette entitled List of Lands listed the total number of arpents, which is 0.846 of an acre, owned by some of the early settlers of this area, such as the heirs of Lawrence Long, Ninian Bell Hamilton, Richard Koch, and Thomas Koch. Beginning in on December 16th, 1811, and lasting through March 15th, 1812, a series of 7 earthquakes of magnitude 6.0 to 7.5 and about 1,800 lesser aftershocks, known as the New Madrid earthquakes, shook Missouri. Although the damage to man-made structures was limited due to sparse population, first-hand accounts of violent shaking was reported to have caused landslides, raising and sinking of lands, eruptions of waterspouts from fissures, collapsing riverbanks with huge waves on the Mississippi overwhelming boats. In the December 21st, 1811 edition, the editor of the Missouri Gazette, Joseph Charles, gives his first-hand account of, quote, defiant rumbling, expecting the earth to be relived by volcanic eruption, houses interred with white vapor. On several of our rivers, pumice, volcanic matter, is found. In 1812, the United States Congress renamed our area the Missouri Territory, naming St. Louis as its capital. The same year, Governor William Clark divided the territory into 5 counties at the First General Assembly. In 1815, Colonel Justice Post settled the area between present-day Wild Horse Creek, Baxter, and Wilson Roads, giving the settlement the more sophisticated name of Chesterfield, in hopes of enticing more to settle in the area. An article appearing in the July 28, 1819 edition of the Missouri Gazette describes the celebration of the 44th Independence Day in early Chesterfield. Quote, an excellent dinner, toasts, discharge of cannon, music, and hearty cheering. In attendance were 120 of the respectable inhabitants of Bonham, which included James Long, Gabriel Long, and Richard Calk. As Western expansion continued, relationships between Native Americans and settlers strained. Several treaties were signed from 1808 to 1825, in which the Osage would cede most of their land in Missouri and Illinois to the United States. The Missouri Gazette gives a first-hand account of the tensions during this period. Quote, we ought not to expect the Indians will make peace at present. They find war too profitable, an uninterrupted career in plunder and massacre. Quote, I gave the Ghent Treaty a slight perusal, feeling that article which secures the Indians a right of killing us with impunity, June 10, 1815. Quote, one of the Sioux chiefs addressed Governor Clark, my father, we came a long way to see you. The white people call Indian dogs. They are so, but we are inoffensive dogs who traverse the plains in search of foods. The hands of the Sioux have never been stained with the blood of whites. June 10, 1815. Quote, both Osage and Pawnee declare that the few whites who have visited their country as hunters kill more buffalo in 1 year than would support both of their nations for the same period. It is said 5,000 buffaloes were killed last fall to procure 1 boatload of tallow, July 15, 1816. Although most Native Americans had left Missouri by the mid-1800s, some would still travel back to the Wildwood area as late as the mid-20th century to collect medicinal plants and herbs. A photo donated to the Historical Society, taken circa 1840, shows the Joels, a Native American family who traveled to Wildwood area to collect plants and herbs, while their children attended the one-room schoolhouse in Melrose. The October 25, 1817 edition of the Missouri Gazette published a petition for Missouri statehood. However, the profound issue of whether to allow the oppression of slavery to continue would delay statehood. In 1820, the Missouri Compromise would allow Missouri to enter the Union as a slave state and Maine as a free state, an attempt to balance power. The following articles and editorials published in the Missouri Gazette show the opinions and the path towards statehood. Quote, it appears at last account from Washington that we are admitted into the Union without restraint. The duty now devolves upon us to reflect dispassionately upon measures to be adopted and to be pursued. March 29, 1820. Quote, it is curious to observe how anxious free men are to perpetuate slavery. July 7th, 1819. Quote, a meeting last Tuesday of about 100 citizens of the town of St. Louis who wish to prevent as early as possible the future introduction of slaves. Joseph Charles, chairman, April 12, 1820. Quote, the present or future emancipation of slaves already in the territory, they cannot take from you which the law recognizes as your property, April 1820. On August 10, 1821, Missouri officially entered the Union with the official proclamation of Missouri statehood appearing in the September 5, 1821 edition of the Missouri Gazette. Compromise was short-lived as the divide on the issue of slavery grew, eventually sparking the Civil War. Citizens who lived within the area now known as Wildwood served on both Union and Confederate sides. Presidents who served soon after the Civil War were burdened with the great task of reconstructing and reuniting the nation. Earning the praise of Frederick Douglass, Ulysses S. Grant, who had been stationed at Jefferson Barracks before the war, was instrumental in passing the 15th Amendment, signing into law the 1871 Force Acts to prosecute the Ku Klux Klan, and the Civil Rights Bill of 1875, allowing all citizens access to public places of enterprise. In 1796, Lawrence Long, his family and slaves, had settled in Wildwood near Orville. By 1879, William West, who had been enslaved by the Longs, had purchased approximately 100 acres of the Long estate. Descendants of William West still reside on this land, known today as Westland Acres. West's obituary, which appears in the April 27, 1894 edition of the Western Watchman, tells of his great achievement of owning land a little more than a decade after being freed. Quote, William West Colored of Orville died suddenly last Sunday, the cause of death being heart disease. He was 60 years old and acquired his own home. West was found by his wife in the field, having gone to chase hogs. The excitement seems to have been too much. Thanks to donations of photographs from West descendants, we have a picture of Melinda West, his widow, which appears in our 2021 calendar. Appearing in our 2020 calendar, Clifford Fraser, a descendant of West, served in World War I, returning home to marry and build his home in Westland Acres. Memorial Day, initially known as Decoration Day, was set aside to remember and decorate the graves of those who died in service to our country. The Grand Army of the Republic was a fraternal organization of Union Army veterans. This article in the June 4th, 1897 edition of the Watchman is evidence of the division still present from the Civil War beginning to heal. Quote, probably the most interesting and successful memorial exercises ever held were those at Melrose under the auspices of GAR, R.C. Allen Camp number 65, Sons of Veterans, and their auxiliary, Ladies' Aid Society 18, who decorated the graves of comrades within their membership, and in doing so made no distinction in regard to the colors of the uniform worn by the men during the great civil strife, but strewed flowers alike upon the graves of the blue and the gray. Beginning in 1917, during World War I, the Blue Star banner hung in the homes of families with members who were away serving. A photo donated to the Historical Society shows local residents who case sisters under a Blue Star banner representing their brother Ira serving in Europe. A Gold Star banner hung in the homes of those who had a family member who had died in service, such as Private Ali Hellenkamp of the Pioneer African American Infantry, who was killed in battle during World War I at the French front lines. Private Hellenkamp, who was also a descendant of William West, is buried at Mount Pleasant Cemetery off Wild Horse Creek Road. Armistice Day, now known as Veterans Day, was established at the end of World War I to honor all those who serve our nation, including women who were allowed to serve for the first time in the reserve forces. In World War II, the citizens of the towns of Wildwood would again serve bravely. The local McKinnon family would lose two, Irvin and Roy, of their three sons during World War II, showing again the great sacrifice of those who come before us. Even in these difficult and divisive times of 2020, our shared history can bring us together to witness the inspiring stories of so many who have sacrificed so much to afford us opportunities they never had. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. That was really interesting. Really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. And
My pleasure.
let's see if we have any questions. Feel free to use the Q&A button or the chat on the side of your screen.
Are you talking to me to do that, or you're looking?
I'm checking.
Okay.
Doesn't look like we have any questions yet. I'll definitely follow up with you if anyone has any questions later on. And thank you again so much, Lynn, for presenting today. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Leslie Richards with the Dutch Colonial Society.
Hello.
Hello.
Good morning, everyone. I'm the current National Vice President of the Dutch Colonial Society. We are a national lineage organization which meets one time per year in Washington, D.C., lately at the Army Navy Club. We were founded in 1962, and we hold a meeting, luncheon, and program on a subject of Dutch history or culture at our annual meeting. Our purpose is to honor our Dutch ancestry and heritage. We publish a yearbook, some call it a directory, every 2 years in each new administration, and it has members' information, lists of officers, bylaws, approved ancestors, and that sort of information one would expect. We also publish a website which contains nearly everything I'm going to say to you, so you do not have to take a lot of notes if you're interested. It is www.dutchcolonialsociety.org. It's very simple to use, has beautiful pictures and lots of information. In order to join, a man or a woman must be 18 years or older, and we have two types of membership. The easiest way for me to explain it is just simply to read from our bylaws. A colonial member is one with a proven direct descent from a Dutch settler who was actually born in the Netherlands and emigrated no later than April 19th, 1775 to any settlement in what is now the continental United States. Also eligible are direct descendants of selected non-Dutch ancestors who settled in what is now the continental US no later than April 19th, 1775, and who have proven significant service to Dutch heritage in business, cultural, military, religious, or political affairs in the Netherlands and or the United States. An example of those that sort of member would be some of the Mayflower passengers, as you know, probably went to Leiden in Holland, and some of them became actual Dutch citizens, and they had jobs of responsibility and so forth. One example is Jonathan Brewster, who was the son of William Brewster. So those people are also considered colonial members. Non-colonial members are people with proven direct ancestry from any native of the Netherlands who settled in the United States after 1775. Now you can have one or both of those. I have some of each. And the way you do that is you join on one, and then you file supplemental lines as you go along. Both types of members have the right to vote and hold office, and members may reside in any state. Their eligible ancestors may have settled anywhere in the colonies, so we really are a national organization. Membership is by invitation only, but we certainly welcome membership inquiries. I personally can be reached if you want to talk to someone right here in Missouri. My email address is leslie@j, B as in boy, richards.net. There is not a direct, there is a contact us button on the website, but it goes to someone on the, does not come to me. Our insignia is really pretty, and I forgot to put mine on. It features, it's a round emblem, and it features swans, and then there is an image of Henry Hudson's ship and a half moon in the background. Our ribbon is orange for the color of the royal household of the Nassau Orange king and queen. The swans are from the word Swanendale, which means area of swans, which is the name of the first settlement, European settlement in the state of Delaware. Our organization was originally founded in Delaware. It is, we have removed that now from our corporate name, and so we are really just the Dutch Colonial Society. We support several charities, two of which are the Wreaths Across America, and also we support what's called the New Netherland Project of the New Netherland Research Center. And one of their main functions, obviously, is to study the history of the Dutch in our country, in New Netherland, but they have trained, the volunteers, when I say they, it's the volunteers, have translated over 7,000 pages of administrative records from New Netherlands. So you can see those records at newnetherlandsinstitute.org. And that is one of the places where our organization gives its financial contributions. We are, of course, a 501c3. And our board is made up of mostly people that are active on the national level in several of these lineage groups. But of course, they all have some sort of Dutch lineage, as you've just heard me say. And it's a very congenial group. We have a very large flag banner, and we bring it out at all of our meetings. And the programs are always something very specifically Dutch, but not just the Dutch story of Henry Hudson coming to this country and in the half moon, which is the Dutch for the half moon, the name of his ship, but subjects of Dutch culture and history in Holland, not, as I said, not just what happened after Henry Hudson got here. From my own perspective, that part of our American history isn't particularly of interest to me because my Dutch ancestors did not come here until the middle of the 1800s. So I'm more interested in what happened to the Dutch a lot later than when good old Henry Hudson first got here. I must say, if I was going to move somewhere east in the state of New York, I would certainly want to live somewhere near the Hudson River Valley. It's a beautiful, beautiful part of our country, and I highly recommend if anybody has a chance to go there to go. And there's lots of Dutch history, of course, but the geography and the landscape, and it's just a beautiful part of our country. So again, we invite membership inquiries, and we would love for you to visit our website, www.dutchcolonialsociety.org. There are beautiful photographs. It's a very well done, professionally done website, and it's very very beautiful and full of really great information. Unless anyone has any questions, that's about all I have to present today, but I'm open to questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Leslie. It looks like we don't have any questions yet, but I'll hold on a second and give people a chance to post a question if they have one. So what are your favorite resources for Dutch history?
Oh gosh. That's a hard question because I'm fortunate that I didn't have to do much research on my Dutch history. I have some Dutch cousins who, one cousin who is my same age, who has been researching our Dutch ancestry since we were in high school. There is a lot of Dutch historical information available online. I have looked that far, and because so many of the records are in the Dutch language, it can be tricky that way. But there are plenty of translation services. I have a number of documents from my own family that are all written in Dutch, and the Dutch language has a lot of similarity to English. The Half Moon, the name of Henry Hudson's ship, is Dhalvemaen. So it's not hard to figure it out. So from that standpoint, good old Mr. Google, and I honestly don't know if our county library here has much Dutch history holdings. You might know the answer to that, Ellen, but I don't, because as I said, I've been spoiled on that subject.
All right, thank you. I don't think we have any other questions. However, I'm going to hand it over to Scott again, and he will conclude our morning session. Thanks again, Leslie.
Thank you all.
All right, really interesting. We unfortunately don't have a lot of resources for Dutch research. We have a few. So if anybody has any suggestions of things that we should have, we'd be glad to purchase those, inclusion in our collection.
You know, Scott, it just dawned on me when you said that. I do have a Dutch ancestry course, learning course, and I could probably copy it and put it in a nice folder and give it to you all, couldn't I?
Yeah, I don't know if we could, if there, well, we could talk about that.
Yeah, it might be a possibility.
Sure. Okay, well, you know, we're coming to the end of our morning, so, you know, I want to thank our speakers for participating this morning and for everybody in the audience who has joined us. Please join us again at 2 p.m. when we will hear from 6 more organizations, and we hope to see you then, and we will just conclude our session this morning at this point. So see you soon. Thanks. Helen, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay, and the recording stopped?